So let's talk about really the new wave of third-party legal liability that's in now. Like employment practices was big 10 years ago, it's not now, because it's kind of settled down. Companies have put measures in, human resources to address it, but now it's HIPAA, privacy, and cyber liability. It's because of the HIPAA laws, it's new, it's emerging, and the HIPAA laws combined with EMR, electronic medical records. States have passed new laws, and most importantly, the newest is how they handle a security breach in your data, what they refer to as PHI, personal health information. That has to be protected. That is kind of outlined in that HIPAA form that I handed out. That's what you have to adhere to. You know, obviously you can't just willy-nilly send people's patient medical records to anyone who asks for it. You got to follow the particular guidelines. Now, just last week, there was a situation that developed where a subcontractor here in DC that does business with Medicaid lost a thumb drive, which is like half the size of this, that contained thousands of PHI. That company has to remediate that now. And what are we talking about? Well, you know, for hackers, you got to have somebody, if somebody hacked into your system to most likely to steal medical billing code so they can resell it to people who don't have insurance so they can go to use it to get treatment. You got to have someone come in and fix your server, your system. My PHI was breached. How do I know if somebody's going to use it against me? Well, you got to buy credit monitoring. Credit monitoring is anywhere from $50 to $75 a year, times how many records that were breached. Now, if you have 1,000 records, which is actually pretty low for a family practitioner, you're already into about $80,000 to $90,000 just notifying and doing the credit monitoring. Your server's down, your computer's down, your business is interrupted. There's a cost associated with that, right? Cyber extortion, you know, disgruntled employee comes in, takes the thumb drive, downloads all the patient medical records, quits, and then calls the next day and says, "You want your records back? I want $10,000." You know, those things happen. PCI fines has to do with credit card processing. You know, letting, for some reason, through negligence, the person's credit card numbers were getting breached and they were being used against it. Actually, medical is third now and growing in terms of breaches and personal information is used against it. The first one is financial. That's the credit card and people's, you know, IRAs and things like that. The second one was retail, and the third one was medical. Those three probably make up like 90% of all the hackers, cyber liability, extortion, things like that. So we calculated, actually one of my TPAs calculated that it could run as high as $200 a record times how many records were breached. So some serious money involved here now, and again, it's new. These things just emerged over the last 2 or 3 years, and most people aren't aware that the states now say, you can't just blow this off. You've got to do something about it, or we'll fine you. There was a hospital in Boston, and actually they had good intentions. What they were doing was remember back in the old days, you backed up all your files on these tapes. And so they were, in part of their transition to EMR, they had all these tapes, and they had literally 20 boxes of these things. And we got to dispose of these somehow. Well, you know, you don't shred them or anything like that. There was a company out in Colorado that would dispose of them for them. So they shipped these boxes out, a bunch of them got lost. Well, they just went, well, what is somebody going to do with their tapes? So it's old technology. Nothing's going to happen. They didn't do anything about it. The state of Massachusetts found out about it and fined them $750,000. So another case that I was aware of is an intern who was working on a project for a hospital. She had her laptop, like the one I have here. On the hard drive was patient files in conjunction with this research project she was doing. Had her car broken into, they stole her laptop. The hospital had spent over $100,000 on that particular case. So, you know, this is some serious money that can be involved, and there's, up till now, there hasn't been any insurance involved. We actually put one together with Lloyd's. That's a separate policy. So for the last few years, you could get away with having this in your medical liability policy, but they might only give you a $50,000 limit. And nowhere near as broad as covering all the things that you would need to cover, especially like sending a guy out, a computer expert out to fix your server. So what they've done now is say, okay, this is a bigger peril than what we can embed into a medical liability policy. So now we're going to break it out into a separate policy altogether, and we're selling one that has a limit of 500,000, even as high as $1 million. And of course, that's going to be a function of. This is an example of what the case I just mentioned. And I just put this slide up a couple days ago because it actually happened. I can see on March 8th. It was reported by a TV station. So that doesn't put this particular company, they mentioned here, CSC, which is an acronym for Computer Sciences Corporation. What do you think that did to their PR when they're on the nightly news saying that they had a major follow-up here with basically just someone with a thumb drive the size of a big personal information, 50,000 providers was compromised. That's a huge database, right? All that information. State Department is going to perform an outside review of its security. How much do you think that's going to cost them? That's going to be expensive, right? They got to notify the providers. 50,000 people. Even if you do a mailer, that's still going to be expensive. They have to establish a hotline. So people that are concerned about their personal health information, they're going to call up. So how much is that going to cost? Basically, they're throwing their hands up to the third-party assessment saying, whatever you guys think we should do to remediate this, we're in your hands, just let us know. Who knows where the cost is going to be for that? I would venture to guess they don't have an insurance policy. That money's going to come right out of their operating costs. Actually, it could bankrupt them, depending on how, think about the size and scope, 50,000 records involved here.